What's up, everybody?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of
Coffee Breakup.
Yes, that is us. Today we got another special guest here.
Very special.
But before we begin, please remember to, if you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, like, comment,
Share, everything.
yeah, share everything. If you're listening to us on Spotify and iTunes, again, like, and can you subscribe, follow?
Yeah, follow for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, you can do that too. We recommend watching on YouTube. Obviously, you get to see our guests, you get to see us and
our faces.
Our faces. We're also on social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
and TikTok.
And TikTok. Yeah,
Right.
I know. Very
recent.
very recent, but great feedback on that.
Yeah. And we have a website.
We do have a website.
Coffeebreakup.com.
Yes, you can get to know us. Check out our merch.
Support us. Everything helps.
And then if you can't, you can also check out our other episodes there as well. There's a little program Marvin snuck in there to listen to our episodes.
Absolutely. If you want to check it out.
Yes. Anything else to start?
No, I think I want to get right in.
Let's do it. All right. So today we have two of our very close friends.
Very dear friends, Larry and Patricia Ruiz.
Thank you guys for having me.
Hey.
We'll put the audience.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
Long overdue. When we first started doing this, one of the first people I wrote down was like Larry and Patricia. I want both of you guys on.
Well, yeah, Larry was one of our OG photographers.
One of the best.
Yes. Are you still doing photography?
Of course.
Yeah?
Yeah, but not as much as before, right?
Well, I took a hiatus at the end of last year, but we're back in it again. So it's been a little busy already.
Yeah, well, a lot of change. A lot of changes.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I guess you guys want to give us a little background about you so people can have like a little bit of an idea of who you guys are.
Who are you guys? At least just a brief background of individually, both of you guys, who you are, and then together, your little story.
Love story.
Love, you can go first.
Oh, great.
Yay.
No pressure.
Well, I'm 25 years old. I was born in Cuba, came here when I was 5.
Nice.
Grew up in Hialeah, so
Really?
been here all my
Hialeah.
life.
How old were you when you came, Luch? 9.
You were older.
How old were you when you came from Germany?
16.
Shut the fuck up then.
No, but
You were
it's
older.
rare.
You were old.
I was old.
What about you, Larry?
So I was born in the Dominican Republic. Came here when I was 4.
Man, you're not Hawaiian?
No. That's not gonna.
Could have fooled us. Could have fooled us.
But I came here when I was 4. Dominican mother. I have a stepfather who's Sri Lankan. Yeah, I know, crazy.
Did you know this?
No, I didn't know that.
No. But I'm actually Dominican Filipino. My biological father stepped out at a young age. Never got to really meet him. And if I did, I was probably too young to remember anyways.
Right.
But we moved to Miami in 97. Was here for about 10 years, moved to New York, lived in New York for a year, and then came back down to Miami, and I've been here ever since. Pretty much in Broward and Dade, and anywhere you can name in Florida, I've probably lived.
Okay, and how do you guys meet?
That's a very interesting story.
Wait, you guys have been together for how long now?
We're going on 6 years being together, 2 years of being married.
Okay,
So crazy. The M word is like scary.
So much to talk about.
And so you're 25. How old did you say you were?
28.
28. Okay, more our ballpark.
Yeah.
So then you guys have been together since, well, you were in your teens.
Yeah, you're
and
young.
you
I
were
was 19.
21, 22?
22.
Oh wow.
22.
So how was that?
Yeah. How did you guys meet?
Yeah, how'd you guys meet?
Well, so
Loaded question.
Take a deep breath.
do you want to tell it? Or?
I had a feeling I was going to say
I feel
that.
like I tell it all the time. So.
You tell it good.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Yeah.
So funny story. We met because of church. We're very, I don't want to say we're very religious, but we grew up in religious homes. So church was a big part of our lives. And we actually met because of somebody who was interested in her at my church.
I was 13 at the time, by the way.
We were young, like 16. I was 16, she was 13. And this guy was interested in her, and I met her through him. And they were, I guess, trying to kick it off. She wasn't really allowed to have a boyfriend, but she was
A rebel.
She,
Hispanic parents.
them hormones were kicking at that age, right? Love interest and all that stuff. So it didn't end up working out with them. And I started talking to her just as a friend. One thing led to another, and we figured out in a way that like we kind of liked each other. Like there was something there, like nothing.
Some sort of chemistry,
Exactly.
connection
Exactly.
drawing you guys.
And she didn't really like say that she liked me, and I didn't really say that I liked her, but we knew something was there. And to make a long story short, we spent almost
It was about 6 years.
6 years of
Back and
us
forth.
going back and forth. Between
Like talking, not
Not
talking,
talking, right.
figuring things out.
Really?
So-
But why? Because you guys were like afraid to like pull the trigger. You guys weren't ready to pull the trigger.
to be honest with you, I think
were
we were just too
young.
young.
Yeah, you
yeah, that's true.
We were too young.
teenagers.
Yeah, but I mean, people date at that age as well.
That's true.
Yeah.
I was pretty concentrated in school.
Yeah.
Didn't really have time for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my mom wasn't very fond of me having boyfriends. So.
Really?
And then to like, for me, it was just a whole back and forth thing. And I'm a very like, I'm a type of person that I know what I want right away.
I think most men are like that, though.
No, well, I got a couple of friends that are,
I guess.
but yeah, I knew what I wanted, and she didn't know what she wanted, so it frustrated me.
Women.
Yeah.
They still don't know what they want.
We're not here to bash women.
Can't do that.
But yeah, she was just like, oh, you know, I was like, so just tell me out front, do you like me or not? And she was like, oh, sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't. I was like, oh, hell no.
I like that answer. I like that.
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
I was like, hell no. So,
Is it still like that now?
but she was just like, oh, you know, sometimes I like you, sometimes I don't, and that really like irked me. So I was like, you know what? Just like I texted her, I'm like, forget it. Like this is not gonna happen. We're never gonna happen. And we didn't talk for like 2 years. And then after high school, you know, I dated people or I talked to people. I didn't really date anybody. She was actually my first official girlfriend, like serious relationship. And I was her first as well. So how that ended up happening was, I was just sitting in my room one day and I'm like, man, like who's a girl that like, shares my same ideas, you know, who's pretty, who has what I'm looking for. And then at the end of the day, I'm just like, oh, it's Patty. Like it's always been Patty. Like every time I want to
Yeah,
like
something would always take you back
it
to.
was
You
just
were like gravitating
her.
to
It was just her. And you know what?
Oh, look at her
You know what?
blushing.
I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just let's try this. So I wrote this like long ass text message like
Which caught me by surprise, by the way, because
Like-
we hadn't talked.
Really?
yeah we
In a
hadn't
long
talked in
time.
like 2 years. Hadn't talked in like 2 years.
Are you serious? So
Yes,
after these
that was
2
very bold
years-
of him.
Yeah, so I pretty much just in a prayer. I'm like, look, God, if this is the woman for me, let this work out. Just plain out like that. So in the text, I pretty much wrote, look, I know I know we've been through a lot, but this is how I feel. You know, we always try to come back to each other somehow, and I really hope that this time, you know, it does work out if you're willing to give it a chance. And she read it and she just put wow. And I was like, okay.
I didn't respond for like 3 days after that.
Right. She's like, oh, I'm busy right now. I'll text you back.
That's rough.
And like, as a person, when you get that from somebody after a message like that, you're like, damn, you know? So she didn't text me for like 3 days. She says she had a church event going on.
I did.
To this day,
What
cannot be confirmed.
Yeah.
But 3 days passed and I'm like, okay, maybe it's not gonna work out. So I'm like, all right, last chance. So it was I was on a business trip for work and I was at a hotel and I was just like, you know what, let me send her a text message saying goodnight and that's it. If she doesn't respond to that, like I'll give up right here. And I sent her a goodnight message and we ended up talking like the whole night after that. And that pretty much kicked off our relationship.
Wow. So just to recap, you were 19, you were 22 when this happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Okay.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Thank you. Where were you emotionally, mentally, and even physically, I guess? Because were you actually at a church event?
I was. We were having this thing called the vigil, which is like an overnight thing. And I was serving at church, and in the middle of serving, I get that text message. So, of course, I'm caught by surprise. And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know if I wanted a boyfriend or not at the time.
Mind you, that text was all blindside. I didn't know if she had a boyfriend.
That's why I'm
He
asking.
didn't even
Like,
know if I had the same number.
that's what I'm saying.
Like, in the message, I'm like, look, I don't know if you have a boyfriend, and if you're talking to somebody, then I can totally respect that. We can just be friends or whatever. And
because if you guys haven't talked for 2 years,
it's a huge gamble.
and you just, dude, like that's
a
like
lucky man though.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, I know. It worked out. You should. I don't know why you didn't play the lotto the day after. But yeah, so where were you in that situation? Because okay, other than that, but like emotionally, I mean, you didn't have a boyfriend, but like you not talking for 2 years and seeing that, like, what did you think?
It just took me by surprise. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know exactly how to feel,
Right.
or if I should give another chance after so many years of going back and forth. So I was busy. I will say that. So I didn't answer, but I was marinating on the message the whole time. I will say that. And then I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I didn't know how to feel. So then he sent that message, and I was like, well, the goodnight message.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Let's see where it goes. If it goes somewhere, it does. If it doesn't, then it's just fine.
Yeah.
I didn't have any expectations, so I wasn't going to be let down.
But did you think that he would be like more serious this time, given the fact that he sent all that and he literally poured his heart? You're like, okay, this is different.
I wish I had the message to like read it to you.
I would love to read it. Yeah. I don't know why you guys didn't like frame it onto the wall or something.
I mean, we didn't think we were gonna be where we are today.
True.
To kind of like, I'm sure if we look back in iCloud, it's there somewhere.
Probably.
But just to like bring that into like everything, like for a long time, I always thought, it's because of her it didn't work out because she was never ready. But we actually started talking about this a couple of days ago, and she brought up something that I'm like, damn, like I messed up too, and we actually during one of those during that 6-year episode where we were back and forth, we decided to meet up at the movies to try to like make things work again.
Like as a date, like first date.
Yeah.
But we were gonna go with friends.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We were just gonna meet up. It was a Main Street type of thing. Let's meet at Main Street, hang out, whatever. And on my way there, I had a friend who texted me saying, "Hey, I invited this girl," and I'm like, "Damn, man, this is like a girl that I had like a history with." So I was like, damn. So I pull up, the girl's there, and then I just like walk right past Patty, like don't say anything.
Doesn't say anything, doesn't say hi. Wow. And we were supposed to meet.
And then me, being the a-hole that I was, I didn't even bother like texting her, saying anything, and that was the last time we talked. That was the 2-year mark that we didn't talk for.
Oh wow! Why would you do that?
So that was me at that age, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
okay,
it wasn't until she brought it up recently that I'm like, damn, like I had a part in this too, So it made me analyze that whole time.
That's crazy.
Terrible.
All these years, you never thought about
shit,
that,
bro.
It is what it is.
That's like selective mememory, A lot of times.
But that's just to show like there's always two sides of the story.
Sure,
you get me. I don't want to say that I blamed her for all that time. But I did think, a major part of us not being together at that time was her just being like on and off about it.
True. I mean,
but then you like blew off at like the last time you guys talked.
Right.
Yeah, but then what did he have to hold on to be like, oh, well, okay, maybe it's gonna be serious this time?
I mean, he could have been trying to rectify what he did wrong, like by like ignoring her, blowing her off.
Well, no, yeah, that is.
So you were 20 years old at the time.
No.
No, that was before the 2-year mark. So you were what? Oh yeah, you were.
We're 20.
Yeah, I was 20.
Yeah, that's pretty old. That's pretty mature for you to be doing that.
Yeah.
Mature,
right.
Okay, so how did you feel? I mean, you must have been upset when this guy just walked past you.
What did you think?
Yeah, I was pretty bothered. I can't remember which friend I was with, but I was with someone, and she's like, "Hey, isn't that?" And I was like, "Yup." And we just kept walking. I didn't text him, and he didn't text me, so that was the end of that.
Wow. And then 2 years gap happened.
Oh my!
Wow.
So
crazy story.
It was even more bold of him to send the message after how it ended.
Yeah.
You were like 2 years.
2 years.
Forgot about that
Hey,
shit.
big head.
Forgot about that shit.
Man, that's what a story.
That
dude.
is tremendous. I've heard part of the story, but not to this full extent.
Yeah.
So you just, oh my god, the fact that was his next text after 2 years, did that also play like you're like you didn't even bother texting me at all right when that happened, and now you're sending me this massive text 2 years later?
Yeah, that was definitely a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame her, and I put
Nah, I
that.
blame you. What are you talking
I
about?
put that in the message. I let her know. I know things have been crazy with us and back and forth, but like I think it's time for us to finally figure out what the hell we're gonna do with each other. So.
Yeah, but you didn't even realize that you were in the wrong until you said you just had this conversation recently.
Right.
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago that we
Right.
had this conversation.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, remember when?
Right?
Yeah. The message was more of a general thing. It didn't specify like any mistakes we made
No.
individually.
No, of
I guess.
course.
I wasn't in that space to think about it, and clearly until 2 days ago. But like as you go on in the relationship, you talk about things and you realize other things. So like to put that aside, that was just the beginning of our relationship. Once we finally started dating, there was a lot more issues we needed to work out. Other than what had happened in the past.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you first start dating somebody, it's a honeymoon phase. Sure. For us, it was a honeymoon phase, but it was also figuring out who we were as a couple. Because we were friends, and that was great. But what happens on, the romantic side of things? So there was a lot of things.
It's pretty rocky for a while.
Yeah. My parents were just like, why are you guys even together?
Okay.
Like, for our first 2 years of dating, just fighting on all the time.
For stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Really
like,
stupid stuff.
dumb stuff.
Like minimal stuff. I think you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that we were our first each other's official relationship. Normally, when you've already been with someone, you kind of already know.
You have that experience.
You
kind of
have that
like
experience of what you should and shouldn't do in a
Exactly.
relationship, how to carry on certain arguments, when to stop them. But we were brand new.
Right.
So we were kind of just figuring it out together.
I mean, a lot of people when they start like your first dates the first people you start dating, it's almost like a learning,
like a trial.
experience. Yeah, it's almost
like
a trial, like to
trial.
like learn more about yourself of how to adapt. Like you guys just kind of held on the whole time.
So so what gave you guys that motivation and that encouragement to kind of like, hey, let's keep it going? Because there's a lot of people who would have just walked away from that fighting, especially at that crucial stage of dating.
Yeah, because people would have just said
walked
fuck
away
it.
at some points, actually.
Really?
At points we had to. There was very toxic arguments we had. We called each other names, which is something we don't practice now. Like we get into an argument and we don't even call each other dumb, because like words like that they mark you. So, there were times where I did break up with her. It was more of a break for me from the situation more than anything else. Because we always talked and, she was always persistent about trying to fix things. And that's something that you learn being together that, your significant other is not always going to want to fix things right away. People cope with things differently.
Sure.
Some people need their space before figuring things out.
And that's me. I need space because
But I like to figure things out right
Right
away.
then, yeah.
Like, let's just get it over with and move on.
yeah.
Let's talk
No,
about
no,
it.
you
and
like
move
taking
on.
the time away.
Yeah.
I'm the one that likes to solve
I'm more
it.
like you, and you're probably more like her. So how do you guys make that work? Because you the first thing is pretty much understanding each other and knowing, okay, this person may need some space, while you want to fix that right away. So how do you guys address
How
that
is that communication like, or that
dynamic?
Well, I figured out that at some point I just had to give in and give him his space, because if I continued to be super persistent, it just made everything worse, because he was already hot about the situation. He was already pissed. If I'm going to keep pressing him to speak to me, it's just going to make the situation worse. And he's just going to blow up.
Okay.
So,
But then you have to have self-control.
Exactly. Do you give as well?
Yes.
Right. I see where you were going with this.
So for a very long time, again, it was all about me. I'm selfish, No, I need my space. And I had this thing where the more she would bother me, the more time I would take away from her. You know what I'm saying? Now it's a little different. Now I get mad. She gives me my space, and once we're ready to talk about it, then we're ready to talk about it. She's more inclined to giving me my space than I am trying to fix it right away. But we've gone about with this system where, if the argument is not that huge, then that's something we'll fix right away. Little stupid disagreements, and I know that I'm in the wrong, I'll just go ahead and apologize right away, or I'll let her know, hey, I don't like the way that you said this, and this is what really ticked me off. Yeah, but you did this. Okay, I understand. So that's how we go about that. If it's a heated argument, something that we haven't done in a really long time, and that's just because we've already learned what our triggers are. it'll take a couple hours for us to finally like get together.
Okay.
I just blow it off. I go spend some time alone.
And circle back when you're in a better headspace.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the last thing that I want to do is to obviously offend her.
Or say something
I
you
say-
don't mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crucial because sometimes you're so upset. It's like you say stuff that later on you say, man, I wish I wouldn't have said that.
So once I'm ready to talk, I'll come up to her, I'll give her a kiss or give her a hug.
Like slowly inches. Hey,
Like
baby.
a hey,
Get away from me. Oh, come on, baby.
But yeah, that's how we go about that. It's very hard, especially we're in a household where we got two people that want to be leads. And the reason we say that is because we took a test that let us know what type of person we are in a relationship. She's very strong-willed. I'm very strong-willed. And she has to have her opinion heard. I have to have my opinion heard. So trying to get used to that system was a very difficult track for us, but we made it work.
Yeah, because you have a very strong energy and you can be, and so
It's
is you.
that Cuban blood.
Yeah, very passionate. Okay, so I'm fascinated by the relationship that you guys have, and I kind of really want to dissect it and kind of go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 2 years. So you guys were kind of having the disagreement the first 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. And then after that, you guys overcame that.
Well, okay, you guys were still learning from each other, about
Right,
how to
experiencing-
communicate as a couple.
Not fully. It didn't stop. We pretty much argued till maybe a month before our
Like
wedding.
the wedding day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think it was like very significant arguments by that time, or they were a little bit more pettier, like?
For the most part, they were pretty petty.
They weren't as petty as they were in the first 2 years.
Okay, so you were going the right direction.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maturity did have a lot to play in it. As far as age.
You were 19, 20, and then you were early 20s. You going into your mid 20s.
Right. I think another very important factor, how you mentioned, Chris, was that we were our very first official relationship. So again, you learn from that stuff. But there was also a lot of things that played a factor. Like when we first started dating, she didn't have a job. She was going to school full time. I had a job. So one of our petty arguments was, why aren't you spending time with me? And I'm like, cause I work. Like I go to school full time and then
Like
I go work.
That's all I am.
And she was home all the time, helping out obviously her family and going to school. But she didn't have a job, so her time was free. She could do whatever she wanted. And I remember one of our very first arguments were, how come you never come over to my house? And I'm just like, how come you never come over to mine? Like you always ask me to go to your house, but you never say, hey, can I go over?
Mind you, he was finishing work like at 10 o'clock at night, so that was very selfish of me to.
I see that.
Ask him to come
Yeah.
over. Come
It's a
on.
booty call time at that age.
Yeah, but yeah, like I would go over maybe like 2 to 3 times a week, which was fair to her, we were in a relationship, and then we would hang out on the weekends, so it was just like, okay, I think this is pretty fair.
Yeah.
That's fair to me.
But
It sounds impossible for me to do now. I can't imagine you at that time.
she wanted like 6 days out of the week type thing.
Oh
and
my
I'm just
God.
like
Okay, wait.
Here's more.
Okay. But eventually, we ended up figuring out our love languages. And my number one love language is quality time, which we didn't know at the time. And I didn't know how to express that. He was just like, I don't want to hang out all the time 24/7. And to me, I was like, well, why not?
Sounds like
I
something
wanna
Larry
hang
would
out.
say.
yeah.
I want to hang out.
So how did you guys figure that out at that age that you need that time with him and you
Do you know what your love language is?
I have a few, but to
Words
me,
of affirmation.
words of
You
affirmation is
prefer
my
words
number
of
one.
that's what I mean, that's what I mean.
That's the most important one to me. Yeah.
So how did you figure it out? You at what point did you realize, hey, this is my love language?
Yeah, I need you to communicate this this
At
way.
church, at VU, they had like a 4-week course on like relationships, and they had brought up the book of the 5 love languages.
Okay.
So I bought it, and then I read through it, and I was like, oh, okay, this definitely makes more sense as to why we need different things and what makes each other feel
Nice.
loved.
So I want to circle back to that course because we've talked about that later on.
Oh no, that's something different.
That's a different course.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna go back to that later on.
Yeah, no, but we can talk about that one. I know
Yes.
what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
You guys want me to leave?
No. You're gonna. It's gonna click. So you guys were dating for 2 years, right? And then at what point? Are you gonna go in?
I want to ask a question because you
Okay,
had
go.
said how everything was always Patty, like back then. Like, so then you said, I just got to go for this. What about you said about Larry, like, oh, because you're like, oh, let's try it. When did it click for you that it's like, oh, it's Larry? I would like to.
Like the day before the wedding.
Kiss.
Was it really? The day of the wedding.
I guess this is it.
So is that when you knew? Like something that's like, okay, yeah, this is like what I want. Like this is.
Well, that night that he texted me good night and we ended up speaking the whole night, I felt comfortable speaking to him. It wasn't awkward at any point, which is something that I was expecting. But it wasn't awkward at any point in time. And then I was like, hey, when are you coming back home? And he let me know it was like a Sunday or something like that.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, can we hang out? And that caught him off guard.
Yeah, I was like, damn. Like, mind you, we had been talking maybe for a couple nights. Like, it wasn't like, and she didn't say, when are you coming back home? She said, when are we gonna hang out? That's what she said. I remember that. And then I said, oh, I'll be back home on Sunday. And then we planned to go to Menchie's. It was just the place at that time. Yeah. Yogurt was a thing at that time. So we go to Menchie's, and in my head, I already know. I'm like,
He's tried to spoon feed me at Menchie's.
yeah. I was
Really?
like,
Boba.
if I'm gonna get this girl, I have to win her tonight. Because after tonight, like, because she admitted it, she was on the fence about the whole thing.
And
You
this
get
is
me?
why I'm asking the question. Yes.
Yeah, she was on the
Yeah, at that point, I hadn't decided whether or not I was going to continue moving forward.
yeah.
I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because we had the conversations over the phone. I felt comfortable. I wanted to see if it was going to feel the same way in person.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So
It's cool.
so we get to Menchie's, we start talking, we start eating, I start spoon feeding. And
It's a little weird.
She's a little freaked out, obviously. You know, she's like, damn,
I would be freaked out too.
Putting things in my mouth.
super creeper move.
Don't
But she didn't say no. She ate it.
Yeah, she was probably like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. So this was like probably like around 8-9 p.m. at night, and we had finished eating yogurt. We were still talking, but obviously I wasn't gonna be like, oh, let's end the night here, you know. So we decided to take a walk through Main Street. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Main Street.
Yeah, that's not Miami
Got the
Lakes.
little lake with the bench by the apartments.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so.
So we went to the lake. We sat down there for a bit, started talking, and I was trying to show her something on my phone, and she's like all up on me, and I'm like, you don't need to do that. I didn't say that to her, but like she was on top of me.
You just
practically.
spoon fed her. Now you're freaking out.
Really close to
I know.
Like, make up your mind, bro.
But I like when I spoon fed her, she wasn't giving me the vibes of yes. It was just kind of like okay, I'm gonna do it because you already have the spoon in my mouth type of thing. But then I noticed that like when we were sitting on the bench, she was getting like a little closer.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. So we stayed there talking for a bit, and we started walking back to the car. And what happened after that, babe? During the walk, something happened. Oh, she was like really close to me again. So
And he did one of these and held my hand.
so I started holding her
Look
hand.
at Larry, slick.
Smooth.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth.
That's
Actually.
behind the scenes stuff you don't see. But yeah, we started walking back to the car, held her hand, and we got in the car. We drove home, and it was probably like 10:30. Wanted to be respectful to her parents, so I was like, "We're here," you know.
But I stayed in the car.
I was like,
I wasn't expecting anything. I just wanted to continue talking. But he thought I wanted something else.
because we got to her house, and I'm like, okay, it was fun, whatever, and like I pretty much said goodbye to her, you know. But she stayed in the car, and then I was just like, okay, what do we do here? And then I'm like, forget it. So she went to say bye, like to kiss me on the cheek, and then I kissed her on the mouth, and yeah.
Was it awkward?
No.
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 She's like, no.
Not at all.
Yeah, but that kiss for her was I guess what
Sealed the deal.
sealed
Yeah.
the deal
That's
as
what
far
sold
as
you.
where she wanted to go with us.
Okay.
I like that.
Love that.
Yeah, I totally cut you off, but I'm glad I did because that was a good
This
stuff.
was great. Yeah, no, thank you.
Where were you gonna go if you remember? I hope you do.
I do. But before that, so you had 2 rocky years, a little bit. At any point during those 2 years, did you ever think maybe this wasn't, or even for you, this wasn't the direction that I thought would be going?
Maybe it isn't Patty.
Yeah. Because you always thought it's Patty, it's Patty.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, this feels right. Did that ever change that kind of mindset throughout those 2 years?
And if so, how did you overcome?
I would say, yeah, not necessarily that it wasn't him, because I always felt like it was him, but maybe it was right person, wrong time kind of thing.
So you felt like it was you guys, after all these trials back in the past, you guys still
Not
maybe
yet.
weren't ready?
Because
Like,
we couldn't figure each other out. We were having a really hard time figuring it out and getting past like these little stupid petty arguments, which were causing us to constantly fight.
Right, a lot of friction.
And while they were small, they would develop into bigger things. You know, when you have a petty argument with someone, then you bring something from the past, then it comes bigger, then it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So at some point, I was like, well, maybe it's not going to work out. And maybe it's not going to work out anytime soon.
Okay.
But I never thought that it wasn't going to be him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Larry.
You're tired of shine.
He feels more strongly about this.
Yeah, top that, huh?
I think I knew it was her, but it was hard to grasp that because of how like toxic everything just was. Like the arguments were like off of something, like she said, we brought something up in the past. Like we were very like popular for doing that in arguments. Like it's just, oh, but you did this last time. This is why we argued last time. It was always you. You always do this.
Always trying to prove a point.
Yeah. So, the reason we're having this argument is because of this. I told you to fix this before we have this next argument. Like it was like we were pre-planning our arguments for the next time. So
yeah, kind of like holding on to it. So like, oh, if it comes up, I have something.
Yeah,
to
leverage.
Exactly.
The receipts.
Exactly.
Leverage. The receipts.
Yeah. So it like it would start over something. Oh, you spelled this letter wrong. No, you spelled it wrong, or whatever. And then, boom. It's for the sake of the example.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, but you did this. Oh, but you did this, and then eventually it just got to the point where we were just like, oh my god, like, do we?
It
need
was
to not
so
be
dumb,
together?
and it's so stupid that, let's say last night, the night before, he texted me, "Good night, I love you, can't wait to see you tomorrow," and then last night he said, "Good night, heart." I'd be like, "What's wrong? Are you mad at me? What did I do?"
Oh my god.
Stupid stuff.
Oh my god.
And then that would spark an argument.
Let's
He's
dumb
like,
it down even more.
yeah, it was bad.
Let's dumb it down even
Yeah.
more. If I called her babe over text message, it was just like, oh my god.
Because babe to me is like, how do I explain it?
It's a more serious
It's
tone.
a more
for her.
serious tone.
So what do you?
So what do you prefer?
Baby.
Yeah,
It's not-
Larry, I get your point now.
It's not like that anymore, obviously.
Yeah.
But it was the way that it would come across in text message, and I would just get offended, and then I'd be like, "Why are you calling me babe? What did I do? Or is something
So
wrong?"
everything could be fantastic in the relationship. The conversation could have been great, but he will say babe instead of baby, and you're like, okay, something.
Yeah, something's up here.
Phone auto corrects.
Something's fishy.
Yeah.
So it was really, really stupid stuff.
Okay.
Again, I think maturity played a lot into it. I had also been through a lot of things in my life that she didn't really experience. Like I have trauma in my life from things that happened in my family with my parents. And I don't want to say that her family is perfect, but her family never went through stuff that I went through, and my family never went through stuff that she went through, obviously.
I was pretty sheltered all my life too, so.
Yeah.
And then, not to like say anything bad about my parents' relationship, but their relationship is kind of those relationships that's a little weird. Like, they're not very affectionate people.
Okay.
So it's not like I could look up to them and be like, oh, okay, this is how they solve themselves. Their arguments, because my mom is very headstrong and my dad is super passive.
Oh, okay.
My mom will tell him, I don't like the way that shirt looks on you. He'll be like, okay, I'll change.
Oh.
Like that. He's just super nonchalant,
You like
super
the shirt
chill.
that Larry wears?
Yeah, I bought it for him.
Hey, that's why he's wearing it. I gotta
She
hurt.
didn't buy it for me. She was there when I bought it.
Oh my god.
But babe, your money's my money. And my money's my money.
Wow.
Yeah, so
awesome.
it was a little different navigating those. Like, I didn't have someone that had the same kind of relationship that him and I had to navigate it.
Right.
Yeah. So one thing too that we would bring up all the time is the fact that she's very much like her mom. I guess she took like her mom's model in a relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
Yeah.
So
That affected the relationship a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, it was just like, oh my god, like, is this what I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life? But again, we worked it out, and it works out now. So.
Yeah. I love that for you guys.
Yeah. So then, obviously, that was all that. So then, what happened? Moving forward to then ultimately, you guys say, yeah, I want this person for the rest of my life
Right.
and get married?
So we kind of
You guys had that conversation, or you guys?
we had that conversation very early on. We talked about the number of kids we wanted. We talked about what we wanted, where we wanted to live. Whole different. We had like this whole discussion on our future.
Sure.
So we knew what we wanted from the beginning, and it was all about trying to work towards it. For me, she was like, we would always have the conversation. Oh, when are you gonna propose? When are you gonna propose? When are you gonna propose?
So you wanted? Were you were serious with these questions?
Yeah.
So you wanted to be married?
This was after the 2-year mark. Like,
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're moving forward now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you wanted to be married.
Yeah.
And
So
then-
she was ready, and one of our arguments was actually about getting married because I had this whole plan for my life.
He had a whole 5-year plan, and I was just not about 5-year plan.
Yeah. And
Yeah, marriage was not in the 5 years.
to me, I wanted to finish school. I wanted to do what I needed to do before I got married.
Yeah.
And I always pictured me being married at this age now, when I'm 28. Like, this is when I wanted to get married, once I turned 28.
Okay.
I figured that by that time I'd have my life together enough to, be able to have a family, and but her being as young as she was at that time, it was just like, that's too far away.
That's a long time from her.
Yeah.
You were like, no, not.
Yeah, I thought
That's not
that
gonna
You-
work.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was pretty against the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
He wanted to be engaged for like 2 years.
Yeah, so I wanted to be engaged
okay.
for 2 years and then get married after that. But that didn't work out. We had an argument because of it. And the way things played out, I just eventually I was like, you know what? Like, I'm never really gonna be ready for this. I'm never.
You said that.
A lot of people say
About
that.
something
okay.
else, but
Yeah. So I was like, I'm never gonna be ready for this. I really love this girl. Like, no matter what happens, no matter what arguments we get into, how crazy things get, like, I still love her. I want to be with her. So I slowly started to save my money. I was making probably like $15 an hour at that point, working 30 hours a week, going to school full time, and I eventually saved my money, proposed to her. And even after we got engaged, like, things were still rocky to the point where, like, there was an argument we had that I was like, I'm calling the engagement off. Like,
Okay,
No
but
way.
double back on that argument, because that argument wasn't necessarily our fault.
what argument are you talking about?
are we experiencing another argument right now?
No,
Live.
No.
Are we arguing about arguments at this
It
point?
was about the wedding. How we
Oh, yeah.
weren't gonna have funds for the wedding.
Go ahead.
So the moment that we got engaged, we started saving towards the wedding.
Sure, of course.
We were saving like $1,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah, something crazy. Like, we were pretty much paying our bills, and
And
then
then
whatever was left over was going straight into
Straight
the
over.
wedding.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we were doing. We were trying to be pretty diligent with our money, and we didn't want a super big wedding. We still wanted to have something small, and we were going back and forth on the idea of whether we were gonna elope or have the actual wedding.
Okay.
So-
So you guys both agreed that we don't really want a big wedding. We'd rather probably use like nice honeymoon or whatnot.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what we decided on. Nice honeymoon, smaller wedding.
Cool.
I think that's what most people are doing now instead.
Okay. So you proposed to her, just to kind of circle back really quick. After like how long were you guys dating? It was 2+ years, right?
It's 2+ years, right? Almost a 3-year
Yeah,
mark.
almost
Okay.
had a 3-year.
Okay.
Right before we made the 3-year mark. It was August of
28th, I think, that you proposed.
Yeah, it was probably a couple days before her birthday.
Nice. And how long were you guys engaged for? Because you said you wanted 2 years, but that didn't happen, right?
He wanted,
He wanted
to
a
be
2-year engagement.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you wanted a 2
No,
years.
he
No,
wanted
I
the
wanted-
2-year
So was
engagement. I
you.
was part of the 5. No, I wasn't part of the 5-year plan, but that was
That was just part
what you
of
at
it.
least wanted.
Okay.
No, that was part of the 5.
That was part of the 5,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
So it was 2 years engagement.
2 years engagement, 2 years dating, and then
And what?
2
2
years
years
dating,
dating.
2 years engagement, and then on
on the 5th year get married.
the 5th year.
That's
That's
what
Okay, so
That's
you
his
got
plan.
engaged,
Mm-hmm.
and then when did you guys get married?
Like 14 months after.
She wanted to do it like, and that's another argument we have. Like, she's like, no, we got to do it a year after, and I'm like, why? Like, why is that necessary? And then she's like, well, if we wait past that, there's no point. I'm like, what? Like,
Explain.
I have no.
What?
No
You better
explanation.
figure it out.
Well, a lot of
What-
people say 1 year, like the 1 year more, like engaged for 1 year.
She
but you were
just,
like
to me,
adamant about it.
to me, she just didn't want to go past that year because I felt that she felt if we go past that year, then we're gonna do
Because-
the 2-year engagement.
That I would say that was part of it, yeah. And I also didn't want us to sit comfortably in that
That's what I'm
engagement,
looking
that
for.
phase.
that phase, because obviously there's a lot of people who get engaged and they're engaged for years.
In like limbo.
And
yeah, you
limbo,
thought the 2 years would turn to 3,
and then
5.
they end up breaking up, and then it's
Better.
not working out. Yeah, and I didn't want us to sit comfortably there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know a couple that was engaged for 10 years. And
Right, yeah.
yeah.
So
they didn't even end up being together.
Yeah.
So,
interesting.
yeah.
Wow. Okay,
So, yeah, we got engaged, what was it, 2018, 2019?
Yeah,
2018. 2018. Got married 2019.
No, we got engaged 2017, married 2018,
There we go.
and then we've been married for 2 years since.
Yeah.
nice. So 3 years of dating, 1 year engagement, pretty much, and then now 2 years of marriage.
Yes.
Right.
So now what's next for both of you guys?
Oh.
Like
A
drum roll,
baby.
drum roll. Hey.
So we are
Congratulations.
expecting. We are expecting.
Awesome.
We have what is it now 15 weeks on Tuesday?
No, Tuesday 16 weeks.
Oh,
So I'm about to hit that
4
halfway
months.
mark.
Nice.
Congratulations on
yeah,
that.
congratulations.
Thank
You announced it recently, but you must have known this last year, right?
Yeah, I found out I was pregnant on November 10th at a friend's
How was
house.
that? How was
Yeah.
that? Yeah, take us through that.
Well,
she can tell that story. 'Cause
yeah. So
Yeah.
I had, okay. So doubling back, I had switched jobs in August. And in that switch, my insurance lapsed because it went from one insurance to the other.
Yeah.
So you have to wait that 30-day period for the new job before it hits. And that time, I ran out of birth control. One thing led to another, and boom. Obviously, and that's something that we chatted about. Everyone
One thing
has
led to another
this
a couple of times. Right?
everyone has this idea that, oh, maybe I'm infertile, or maybe I won't get pregnant on that first try. You know, you always have that.
Yeah.
What if I'm not super fertile?
Sure.
It's like a natural.
But it was like a
thought.
trial then? Like, oh, like who knows? Like,
It was kind of like
Well, you just didn't
what, if
think
it
about
happens, it happens kind of thing. It was like
And that happened. I mean, you're fertile as hell. dude.
screams internally.
it was like a YOLO.
Okay.
It wasn't necessarily planned, but we knew what the possible outcome could be.
And you guys were ready.
Yeah, you guys
Okay,
were
I mean, you guys
prepared
were,
for
yeah.
that.
So
You're
funny-
not really
funny-
ready.
Yeah.
honestly.
Funny thing about that.
No, but I guess like in the position where you'd be like, you know,
Like,
well, you know, if it
stable
happens, you know, we
jobs.
can.
Yeah.
So I was actually like super against having a baby at that point. She would like stand in the mirror and touch her stomach, and I'm like, stop. Like,
Yeah, I would do
like,
that.
she wasn't pregnant yet, and she would just walk around the house doing that, and I'm just like, no. And she's like, oh, just give me a baby, and you know,
I had that
COVID.
baby fever, you know.
She had that baby fever. She was looking at baby stuff. We would go to Target, and she's like, oh my god, look how cute, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I had a conversation with my manager. My manager's a really good guy. He checks on us, not only how we're doing at work, obviously, but how we're doing in our personal life. So I tell him he's young. He's mid-30s. At least I consider that to be young.
Yeah, it is.
He has 2 kids already, and so he has very like relatable experiences to people. So I tell him, oh, Patty wants me to like give her a baby. So I'm just like, I'm not ready for that. Like I don't think I'm financially ready. And then he opened up like my mind, and he was like, look, you're never really going to be ready. Cause once you get to a certain point in your life, at that point in time, you're going to want more from that. So then that doesn't count you as ready. And I looked at it like, damn, like if I do start making the salary that I want to make, like if I become a millionaire, maybe I'm not ready because I want to be a billionaire. You get what I'm saying? So once he put that into perspective for me, and she was just like, oh, like, give me a baby. I'm like, sure, why not? So, you know, we joked about it for a bit. So it's like she said, it was a yellow for us. It wasn't a yes, but it also wasn't a no. Like that, when it happened, I'm like, oh, you know, did you get your period yet? Did you get your period yet? Did you get your period? And then,
But the reason that,
That
so
question. Wow.
mind you, because the insurance lapsed and I wasn't on the pill, sometimes your body reacts differently to the hormones, and it can delay your
Right,
period
yeah,
because
yeah.
your
True.
body's kind of going back into its
figuring it
natural
out.
balance. Yeah, so I hadn't gotten my period yet. I was about 4 or 5 days late, but again, I didn't think anything of it. I expected that to be
Normal with that.
Yeah, and I didn't really have any symptoms, no throwing up, no nausea. I just felt super bloated. And I had told my friend, who happens to work at my OBGYN's office, hey, I'm super bloated. I haven't gotten my period yet, but I don't really feel anything. And she's like, oh, when you come over on Taco Tuesday, I'll bring a test and we can take it in the restroom. I said, okay, cool. So the guys were hanging out in the living room. And she's like, oh, come look at this in the room. So we go to the room and we go to the bathroom.
Plotting.
So we do the whole thing, and I turn around to talk to her. Normally it takes 3 minutes. It was about 15 seconds before the second line popped up. And I was shocked. I didn't cry. I didn't laugh. I was just blank.
Right.
That's just how my body reacted to the news. She was there crying, saying, oh my God, congratulations, Patty, you're going to be a mom. And I was just like, I sat on the bed, I crossed my legs, and I was just like, oh my God.
Meanwhile,
this is crazy.
Meanwhile, I'm in the other room, freaking passed out on a computer chair. Like,
Yeah, he knocked out.
Bro, that itis hit me hard after the title.
So you told him right away?
No.
I waited, which is so difficult.
How long did you wait?
So I found
Almost
out
2
on
weeks, bro.
2 weeks?
No, I found out on Tuesday, and I told you Saturday.
What was it?
It probably felt like 2 weeks to you.
Yeah.
You had-
Well, he was like, he's like, hey, have you gotten your period? And I was like, yeah, I got my period. I was wearing a pad to go to bed. I was totally finessing
did the whole
whole
nine,
thing.
like-
I was like, oh, I have cramps.
No way.
Yeah, because I didn't want him to get suspicious because I wanted to surprise him.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a surprise.
So how did you surprise him? How did?
Yeah.
what was
So
that?
every year we have Friendsgiving. You've been to one of them. This year it wasn't at our house, so somebody else hosted it. So we're getting ready, and I'm like dancing all over the house. Like, it's good vibes,
We got music blasting and
Yeah,
we're getting
music
ready,
blasting, that's how we like to get ready. We did it this morning. Like, on our way to the podcast, we put Michael Jackson and we started just.
That's
like,
cool.
But we're getting ready. We bought new outfits and everything for Friendsgiving. She had been out to the mall the whole day. The mall.
Right.
So as we're getting ready to leave, I always say, "Hey, are you ready?" And that's when I know whether or not I have to wait longer or not. Yeah, but before we go, I bought you something that for you to wear tonight, and I'm like, what can you possibly have bought me? I already have my clothes on. I have
You
my
idiot! What are you talking about?
I have my clothes on. And she's like, oh, it's something that you're going to like. And I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm like, oh, is it jewelry? And she's like, I'm not going to say anything. So she goes to the car, comes back with this big package. And I'm like...
It's like a white box with a bow. I set it up, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to put the camera because I want to record your reaction for my friend because I want her to see, because she was shopping with me.
Oh,
I'm
so
like,
she can see if you like it.
Yeah, and he's like, okay, is it refundable? And I'm like, yeah, it's refundable.
First thing.
No, I was like, oh, what if I don't like it? Oh, she's like, you can take it back.
I was like, yeah, you can return it.
Theoretically, because not really.
I
Right.
wasn't expecting a pregnancy announcement because she had already told me she
you
I got a period.
guard.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, that was the last thing on my mind. Last thing on my mind. So,
But if it was so extravagant, like you didn't think.
But he was
like,
suspicious of it.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, what suspicion did you have? Because if it was this extravagant,
number one, I didn't ask her for anything. So I was just like, okay, like what did you get me? Like it was November. I didn't ask anything for Christmas.
Birthday.
It was just weird. It was weird. But she's known for giving gifts like all the time. So like she randomly surprises me with things. But my suspicion with her is that she likes to trick me a lot of times. So she'll get like this really big box and it might be something little. So I saw the huge box and I'm like,
He starts shaking it, and I'm like, no, don't
You're
shake
gonna-
it because
you're
I
gonna
had
mess
it
it
all
up.
set up.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, it's pretty heavy because the box was heavy. So I finally opened the box. And there's a onesie, the pregnancy test,
A pair of baby Crocs.
and a pair of baby Crocs,
Oh, and then the picture frame.
and the picture frame.
So in the picture frame, it was two
Two chili peppers
holding a little baby,
Holding
a
a little-
little baby chili
for
pepper,
Mr. Spice,
like a
cry.
baby spice.
I wanna cry.
It was very
So
cute.
cute.
So it says the
Yeah.
spice rack is getting a little bigger or something like that. Or no addition to the spice rack coming soon.
Yeah.
And then the onesie said that Daddy's sidekick. So I'm looking at it and it still hasn't clicked
yeah, because in your head it's like she had her period. Why the fuck are you giving me this?
Yeah, what is
Yeah,
this?
yeah. So then I look at her and I'm like, "Are you serious?" And she's like, "I'm serious. I'm serious." And she repeated it like how many times?
A lot of times, because I didn't want him to think it was a joke, but I had nothing else to say other than like, this is happening kind of thing.
Yeah. So like that night, obviously we go out and about to our friend's house and like we kind of just like stayed together the whole time. There wasn't a lot of interaction between us and everybody that was at the party, and I think we were just like kind of soaking everything in. For me, it was kind of like, oh damn, like we're really having a baby.
Yeah.
So like we thought about a lot of things. We started talking about things that she couldn't do anymore, places we couldn't go out to eat that we like eating at. So we were just kind of still both in shock. And to me, it was crazy because she had already known for a few days. But yeah, it was super surprised. I wish I could share the video with you guys. I'll send it to you guys. So you guys can see
added into the video. I'm kidding. Man, tremendous. I really love the story you guys have. And
when's the due date?
July 20th.
All right, I want to make sure this episode comes up before July.
Yeah,
we have
we'll come up.
we have a lot of content. But no, we'll push it.
For you guys. Man, this is tremendous. Congratulations. Because you always tell people, I'm sure you guys would be great parents, but I know
this is
you guys will be great parents.
I'm excited for you guys.
Thank you.
Tremendous.
That's awesome.
So there's so much to talk about.
So what's next?
Yeah. Well, the baby is next, right?
Yeah, but like now.
And we wanted to keep it a secret for a while too.
Well, I figured because you found out in November, and you guys are not. I mean, publicly announced.
We publicly announced it at the end of January.
Okay.
Yeah.
What? Why? Like, what was it like? You guys were gonna wait.
Was
longer?
this part of the? Oh, okay. So then, when you found out in November, so you wanted to wait a little bit.
Yeah.
You were comfortable enough to say in January. How come?
Well, naturally, most women like to wait after the first trimester, which is after the 12 weeks, because
things could happen.
Yeah, anything can happen at that point. And we actually had a scare at around like 7 weeks.
Oh wow!
I would say around 7 weeks. I started bleeding. We ended up, which is pretty common, but they ended up finding a hematoma. So on top of where the sac goes, so it's just like a ball of blood. And if it got any bigger, it was gonna detach the sac from my uterus. So I needed to kind of take it a little bit easy, and I didn't want to say anything because God forbid something did happen, then I would have to tell the whole world, hey,
go through that.
I didn't want to go through that publicly, right?
Sure, of course.
So that was one of the reasons. Thank God the sac dissolved, so everything's normal. And I was like, I want to take some pregnancy pictures for the announcement, but I want to make sure my belly is a little big.
Yeah.
It looks cuter when you got a little belly. So we took the pictures, and then we were ready to announce it. The only people that really knew were our coworkers, because we were taking days off for the doctor's visits, our parents, and then our close friends that would see us like every week.
Sure.
And that's it. But other than that, nobody else knew.
Okay. How long are you planning on working until you go on?
I mean, there's a certain period.
Till the last day.
Yeah.
Till the last day?
Yeah.
Well, until
so
baby
you can't
decides
anymore.
to come. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And so are you're gonna stay at home? How is it gonna be the dynamics in terms of like your house? You gonna stay at home and
well, I got three months
3
of
months.
maternity leave.
Okay.
Larry works from home, so
Yeah, more than likely we will be working from home. I mean, I work from an office, but my company, so like, I work for a school that does healthcare. So healthcare is their major thing, and number one thing they want is for people to be healthy. So
Absolutely.
Until this dies down, they're not going to send us back to the office. Realistically, we're looking maybe at the end of this year, probably everything will go back to normal, if that.
If I wouldn't even know.
So I see myself working from home. If they don't make the decision to just do it permanently because they see that the system is working for us, at least up until we're clear to go back to normal activities.
So you guys are in a good position to to be home and pretty much raise the child. It's gonna be a boy, right? Can I say that?
Yes.
It's a boy?
yes.
Yes.
Should we
But
not say that?
recently, no, yes, you can. I mean, we did a blood test, but recently I've been seeing some videos on TikTok of people who did blood tests, and it ended up being a gender. And by the time they had
This can switch.
No,
Well,
maybe.
well, sometimes the blood tests,
They're not 100%
they're not
accurate.
100% accurate. So I've seen in the past like week and a half 3 videos of someone who did a blood test. They did a full out baby shower for a baby boy, and it was a girl.
If it's on
This is
TikTok, then
awkward.
it's real.
So I was like,
You never seen like the episode on Family Guy that it's like, it's a girl, but it has a penis.
Are you guys gonna do a baby shower, or are you guys gonna wait a while?
well, at the 8, so I'll be 16 weeks on Tuesday. At the 18-week mark, you have an anatomical scan of the baby. They measure the head, spine, all that. At that point, they'll confirm the gender.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
in about 3 weeks, we'll be.
And you guys
we'll
wanted
for sure
to know.
know.
You guys wanted to know, right? It's not like one of those surprise
Like,
things.
you'll
that
see
it's-
when it pops out.
Yeah, a lot of people they don't
Yeah,
like
some
knowing.
people
You know,
do
it's,
it.
So
We
Shit.
wanted to do it kind of personal.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of doing like a full out gender reveal.
yeah.
Okay.
He says it's played out too. So he's
Yeah.
like,
It's just like I don't even know what to do anymore. Like, do I just throw like stuff in the air? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you just don't like put forests on fire. I
Yeah,
think we're
burn
good.
houses
Yeah.
down.
I think it's acceptable.
Yeah, that, to me, it's just like first of all, it's a waste of money for something that it's not just for you, it's for everybody else to see. So it's
Because
like,
you did a gender reveal.
no offense, no,
Yeah.
You
offense,
did a
but
burnout. You
at
did a
this point in the game, like everything that can be done has been done already.
Yeah.
So why go out of my way to spend money on something that
Yeah,
you know is not really for me or for my wife?
Right.
for
Ultimately,
everybody.
it's a decision you guys have to
It's
make.
for everybody else. Yeah, exactly. So, and we've always had that mentality because we did the same thing with our wedding. We could have had a super extravagant wedding, if we wanted to. But
still
then,
be paying for it.
yeah. And then our honeymoon probably would have been somewhere in the United States. Like no,
Key West.
Key West, hey.
Orlando,
Yeah.
bro. That's where it's at.
Disney, baby.
That's true.
When you found out that you guys were like, did you want a boy? Did you want a girl? Was
Yeah,
it
what
matter?
were you guys rooting for?
So for the 6 years that we've been together, we've always dreamt of having a girl first.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anytime that I had a dream or he had a dream, it was always a girl. And even the week before we found out the gender, he's like, "Hey, I had a dream that we had a little girl and you had the hair that you have now, like your short hair." And he's like, "I think it's going to be a girl." But the second week that I already knew I was pregnant, I told him I had a feeling it was a boy. I was like, "I have a feeling it's a boy. I don't know how to explain it." But it's like, it's a feeling like it's just a boy. That's what I would tell him. I think it's a boy. And he's like, "No, you're psyching yourself out. It's probably a girl. I mean, we've been dreaming about this for 6 years. It's probably going to be a girl."
yeah, I'm like, yo, God not gonna give me all these dreams about a girl and then do me dirty like that.
He's tricking you out.
playing with your feelings.
Yeah.
So then she's like, "Oh, God's a funny God," and I'm like, "Okay, yeah." So
And I was like, "Oh, mother's intuition. You never know."
yeah. So we did the gender reveal, and
Well, now
when we pulled the
envelope.
envelope, like we did the gender reveal for ourselves first before we did it to our family.
Sure.
So we pulled the envelope, and I had already seen the gender. I was just waiting for her to see it, and it said 96% chances of being a boy. So she sees it, and she's like, I told you. She starts pushing me. She's like, I told you. I wasn't mad. I didn't care what we got, as long as the baby's healthy.
Absolutely. The most important thing.
So, but yeah, once we found out it was a boy, we started cycling through the names. We already knew the names we had, but recently it changed. So
that's why we haven't announced anything, because we're still like deciding.
yeah.
I don't know, man. I think it's gonna be a girl. I don't know.
Oh, shut the fuck up. How the fuck are you?
That 4%.
Your friend's intuition.
That 4%.
TikTok.
Awesome, man. I mean, we only have so much time, but one thing I wanted to ask, just going back, is it true that you guys didn't move in together until you were married or engaged? Is that true? Is that correct?
Yes,
Yes.
that's true.
Because you guys want to tell us about it? Because you guys are from religious households, so it was frowned upon to kind of move in
Interesting.
together before, right?
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, I also think we weren't in the space to move in together before getting married, regardless.
Considering, all the
things that
petty
will go-
arguments.
Yeah, but then again,
Yeah.
like, don't you think that if you guys would have come together already engaged and then lived together, that could have probably negatively affected the relationship?
Yes,
It probably would have been easier to walk away at that point
Yeah. Yeah.
than after you made a commitment and you got to work it out, no matter what kind of thing.
Yeah.
I see what you guys mean.
There's a lot of people who say, well, you shouldn't marry somebody or even get engaged to somebody until you've lived with them because you don't really know that person. How do you guys?
I do
attest
hear
to
that
that?
a lot. And you know what, man? It's whatever works for you. Whatever works for you.
Sure.
If you really think you need to know somebody personally before getting married to them, to that extent, how they live, how they are in the household, what mannerisms they have, are they clean, are they dirty?
But you can already tell that. You
Yeah.
can tell that beforehand.
Yeah, well,
Did something? Okay,
Because
go.
maybe in the beginning, let's say you go over that person's house, they're going to pick up, they're going to tidy up, they're going to clean. But once they get comfortable with you, their true colors will show. Maybe
Sure.
they're not as organized as what they look like they were before.
I mean, I was an open book with her as soon as we
Yeah,
started
You
dating.
do.
Like
Dirty
she
as
would
fuck.
come home and she would see like clothes all over.
I would
the place.
Fuck
fold
it.
his clothes and
Yeah, like she would help me out with chores and stuff. So she knew what she was
It
getting.
was like
into.
a test for him. Like, let me see if she cleans up.
Yeah. You know, a lot of people live their life too in relationships where it's like, oh, I always got to impress my girlfriend or my boyfriend, which is great.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. But to an extent, it's like, at what point do you start being yourself?
True.
Fair enough. Fair
You know
enough.
what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, play your strengths, I think.
with me and her, our families too were very open books. Like whatever happened in our families, like we knew what was going on. You know, we understood how our parents were as people. You know, I have a father for a pastor or a pastor for a father. So, you know, like she knew that things were very like strict in my house, like to the point where she would come over, you know, we're 22, 23 years old and the door would be
Door's
open to my
open.
room. Like, you know, we're hanging out in my room and the door is open. So that's just out of being respectful to the house rules. Her mom was the same way. She really didn't like us being in her room, even if her sister was in there. Like, you know, it's just that's the way we were brought up. That's the whole religious like aspect of it. And again, back to us living together. I don't think we were in the right space, not mentally mature enough or financially stable to even do that. Again, she didn't have a good job probably until a year before we finally she got engaged or we got engaged. So us moving together wouldn't really have worked out for us.
but even when we moved in together, it didn't feel weird. It was comfortable.
It was like normal.
We kind of have already had established like who was gonna do what based off of our strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
His strength is cooking, mine is cleaning. So that's what we worked off of. And he's a little bit more disorganized than I am. But
Yeah.
I enjoy cleaning and picking up, so that stuff didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I like how that was worded. I like how that was worded.
I'm organized for what I want to be organized.
Instead of saying I'm more organized than him, it's like he's more disorganized.
Yeah. I mean, I don't take offense to it. You know, I accept it, and, and that's one of the that's one of the things that
That's what you play off of, the
Yeah,
strengths
yeah.
and
Right,
weaknesses of each
absolutely,
other.
absolutely.
So you know, somebody would probably get offended and be like, "Oh, why you got to say that? You do this, you do
Yeah,
that."
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So,
I understand.
but I accept it. We've discussed it, and then there's other things that you also learn while you're married. So, I feel like trying to live with somebody beforehand, you don't really get to enjoy that once you finally married, because like there's some people that already live together and nothing changes but a piece of paper for them. For us, it was a whole like changing experience. There's a lot of firsts. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I think that's important for a marriage. You always want to be on the edge of your seat of, oh, what's gonna happen next? Like, you know, we're having a baby now, and it's like,
Yeah,
oh damn,
like
like, you know, like this is a next step for us as of, oh, this just happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, life keeps going at you. But so you guys went from living at home separate to living with each other, moving out for the first time, right?
Yes.
That's a interesting experience. And how did you guys? Because I want to talk about a little bit, just briefly, about finances, because that's a big thing in marriages.
Yeah.
It's actually the number one reason why people get divorced. So I don't know if you guys want to a little bit talk about that and kind of go from there, because I think you did tell me that you took a course, just to circle back on that, like back in the, when you guys got married, was it a counseling course or a marriage course?
Yeah. So
through church,
Engagement. We were engaged.
we were
Engaged.
engaged, and we had a couple friends from the church who were like, look, you guys are getting married. They're doing this. It's kind of like a counseling course where you learn about marriage, you learn your strengths, your weaknesses in a relationship. And if you take that, I think it'll make your relationship better. And to me, counseling before marriage was just like, like this is how you're gonna be a better couple. And I was just like for what, you know? But we're like, you know what? Maybe we do need it, because we were at that stage again where we were constantly fighting. So, you know, we decided, hey, if we truly analyze ourselves, not only as personally, but in a relationship, maybe we'll figure out how to make this thing work. So the name of the course is called Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. I know, weird title, but trust me, the knowledge in there is just
That's cool.
It changed.
It's
It
nuts.
changed.
I like
Yeah. Okay.
It's a couple, obviously. It is they are religious people, but the course is set up specifically for marriage. It doesn't dwell too much deep into the religion subject. Obviously, it has its Bible verses where it talks about where God wants the unity to be together and stuff like that. Yeah. So we took the course. It's what was a 4-week course, right?
That one, yeah. The financial one was about 9 weeks.
Okay. So yeah, we did the Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. It was only 4 course. It was 4 days. Once a week, Tuesday.
Okay.
Every Tuesday. And they pretty much asked us what we wanted in a relationship. That's how we learned the type of personalities that we have. We talked about the 5 love languages.
Mind you, you had to fill out like an honest questionnaire. It was like 100 and something questions.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And
It asked you anything from emotions to having sex to finances. All that is covered.
if your
in
parents were divorced, if they're still together, because obviously all those things eventually impact
Affect
your
your
life at some
relationship,
way or
yeah.
another.
And the relationship.
So anything that you can think of relationship wise is in that course.
Wow. And so you think it helped you guys into
Absolutely.
put you guys into a good place
Absolutely.
before the marriage began.
Absolutely. It explained to us things that we already kind of knew, but it reinforced them. And then there was new things that we didn't know. And again, it's different for everybody. Once we realized what was going on in our relationship and applied it to what we had just learned, everything started to work out easier. We're on our 2nd year of marriage now, and so far this year of marriage has been better than our first year of marriage. And the reason I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy our first year, because it was a great year.
Yeah, people make it seem like it's going to be a terrible year, but it wasn't.
Yeah, especially with us moving in together for the first time.
Right.
You know? But we've seen our relationship evolve, and to be honest, I can only see it getting better.
Man, that's tremendous. And then you said there was a separate finance course.
Yes.
That was 8 weeks or something. Like that. And what did you guys get from that?
So that course, pretty much just it breaks down how to get out of debt,
How to budget.
Yeah. So once we took that course, we pretty much did a budget every week. We've done a budget every week ever since we've taken that course.
And we have a joint bank account, which a lot of people are against.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. You guys have a joint?
Yeah, we have a joint
finances?
account. So my money is his money and vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah. Which people are like, oh my God, like, how do you do it?
Yeah, because obviously one person ends up making more than the other. So people are like, well, it's not fair that this person uses your money to buy such things. But the way that we do it is, I don't see it as my money and he doesn't see it as his money, because his bills at the end of the day are mine, and vice versa.
May I pitch an idea?
Yeah.
It's one of my old coworkers. He told me with him and his wife, what they do is they have a checking, a savings, and then their own personal.
That's how we have it.
Oh, we
yeah.
have it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So yeah, you pretty much have the checking, which is the bills account. Everything goes there, and then whatever's left over, transfer to savings. And then if you guys want your own personal expenses, because let's say you want to buy her something.
Yeah,
and
we give each
surprise
other
her.
like
Oh, yeah.
allowances
You wanna have
kind
your-
of thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we go
Okay.
from bills to events to personalized things.
Yeah,
Cool.
so
Awesome.
he
Okay,
needs to
great.
get a haircut, he's going to do this. I'm going to do my
True.
nails. We split it.
Baby gonna get $10 for a haircut.
Permission.
Yeah.
So we split it like that. Hey, do you have any expenses that you need money for? Yes and no. We split it. And then what you do with that money is up to you.
Awesome.
No
Yeah.
one can tell you shouldn't have or
Very
should
structured.
So it's like, oh, hey, I want this. It costs $1,000. I'm like, okay, that's not reasonable for this check. Maybe we can split it up into different.
Like that.
Smaller payments or whatnot. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I want to slowly start wrapping it up. But pretty much before that, I just want to know. So obviously, you guys are expecting. You guys have been married. You guys are still very young. Moving forward now, like, what are you guys planning? Like, what's next? Like, what like is involved with expectation process? Like, what are you guys gonna be doing now until the baby's born?
Just getting ready for the baby to get here. So we're in a space right now where we're trying to figure out, do we want to have the baby in the hospital? She really wants to go the holistic way and have a natural birth, and not so much a hospital, but a birthing center. And that's important to her. She's done her research.
Yeah.
She's the woman at the end of the day.
Yeah, you gotta feel. Yeah, you gotta
it's her
comfortable.
Maybe you should share a little bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So, don't want to offend anybody in saying, what you should and shouldn't do. That's totally up to you. But I think in my situation, I prefer a natural birth. If I was someone of a high risk pregnancy, then I would prefer to be at a hospital. But where I'm looking to do the natural birth, it's across the street from a hospital should anything go wrong.
Right.
But it's in a natural setting. You're not in a hospital. you're in a space where you can decorate the space. So I can bring in my own things, make it a little bit more homey. You have a midwife, you have a nurse and a doula with you at all times. You have people that are encouraging you, that are not forcing you to take certain things or giving you scare tactics.
So different environment.
Right.
Yeah,
You feel more comfortable in.
You feel more comfortable, yeah. You can labor in a tub, you can labor in a bathroom, you can labor on the bed. You don't necessarily have to give birth laying down
Right.
as you would at a hospital. So it's a different setting.
Kind of gives you power.
Right.
Yeah, it's
control.
more empowering for
Right.
a woman to give birth that way. There's been so many stories and there's statistics where, unfortunately, let's say you were to go into labor on a Friday, maybe your OBGYN has that long weekend scheduled, they will push for a C-section.
Oh.
You want to give birth, obviously natural, right?
Yeah, I prefer to go natural, yeah.
So my mom had a midwife too, and she said like, all the same thing, like a birth center or whatever. She loved it. She was that she had 7 pregnancies, so she would know. But so it's like if that makes you,
your mom was busy, bro.
yeah, she was busy. So if that's something that you want to do, hey, I applaud you, I encourage you. That's awesome. Especially now, how do you feel about being pregnant and it's COVID? I mean, that's another thing, right?
Or did it not even cross your mind?
Yeah, you don't forget.
I mean, I'll wear my mask where I have to,
Right.
but I don't try to let that
affect
me. I feel like if I'm too paranoid about it, I'm gonna be
out.
miserable
Yeah.
and not go out, and I don't want to be that.
Obviously, we're still careful. We don't try to associate with people we don't know like that. Keep it pretty closed. See our family, see our close friends. Our friends have been pretty open about that too. About their parents had COVID, so they get tested for stuff like that.
And they'll let us know, hey,
so
we're getting tested. Should wait before you come over.
Yeah. So again, we are taking precautionary measures in regards to COVID. We're following the rules where we need to. At home, we're fine. Obviously,
right.
we're not having people over every day, and the people that we do have, again, they're people that we know are clear. So yeah.
But other than that, chill.
Awesome. So we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Like some final
I
thoughts.
guess we have to.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we have to. There's so much more we could talk about and dive in, but thank you so much for coming, for sharing.
That's what sucks. Like when we know the guests,
Yeah,
because
there's so
we
much-
feel
yeah.
comfortable, and then we start learning more. We want to start
Right.
understanding more.
Or just have us on another episode, and we'll come back.
Yeah, I mean, down the line. I mean, I'm sure you guys are gonna be so busy now with the kid and stuff like that. So I guess this was the perfect timing because we found out that you guys were expecting. Chris was like, "Hey, let's see if we can get them in." And I'm like, they're pretty busy. But I'm glad you guys made the time and found the time.
Yeah, I think in the future we can circle back with you guys, like maybe once the child's born, or maybe a couple months in, or maybe even a year in. That way we can kind of be like, hey, like what's
How's
been
your
the
life now as
transition from
first-time
that?
parents?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great. All right,
If it's a girl, you call me.
I got you.
You call me
All right,
up.
I'll let you know in
You
3
call me
weeks.
up.
all right.
My dad still has the impression that it's twins. So
Really?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's twins. I'm like,
There's
it's a
just
boy.
one baby.
Yeah, you would be.
Just one.
All right,
That'd
so
be tremendous.
we end the show with like a final thought. So anything that you'd probably want to tell your younger self, or anyone in your current situation, or anything, you can say it to the camera, say it to us. So just pretty much a final message about love, relationship, whatever you guys want.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts.
Something I feel strong about is you should, always follow your heart. If you feel like that person is right for you, and that person gives back to you in the way that you want to love them. If they love you how you love them, and it's gonna work, then you make it work. Don't just because of arguments or whatever, just say, hey, let's just forget it. Because if I would have done that with her, we wouldn't be where we are today. So no matter how toxic it got with her, we made everything work at the end of the day. So and love does triumph at the end of the day. I know some people are like, oh no, love is not real, but we know couples that they get together, it doesn't work out the first time, 10 years down the road they get together again, and boom, it's right place, right time, right person.
And you?
I would say, kind of just to piggyback off of what he said, if it feels right and you're comfortable with that person and you guys love each other no matter what, you try to figure it out. You make the effort. As long as you both are making the effort towards that goal, then no matter what comes in the way, obviously there are certain things that you don't put up with in a relationship. And we all know what those things, domestic violence, all those things, that's something that you don't continue to work towards.
Of course.
But things like that, arguments, if you need to search for counseling to make your relationship better, then that's something that you shouldn't be against. You should be open to that, because at the end of the day, couples do that and it improves their relationship just how it did for us. So continue working towards that goal. Make sure you guys have the same goal in place. And like you said, love triumphs.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the problem is not you against your partner. It's you and your partner against the problem.
Exactly.
Correct.
I agree.
Correct.
Love that.
So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to break up.
Yeah.
Yes. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And hopefully this will kind of
Help
resonate.
people out.
Yeah,
help
resonate
resonate
with
with some
other
people.
probably gone through something, or they're going through it, or maybe they're planning it and they want to know, like, well, how are other people that we don't know? Because, oh, well, my sister was like this. Yeah, your sister's crazy.
Yeah.
So obviously here you're getting two normal people, I would say. And
I'm sure this is going to help some people out. So
that's the goal.
thanks so much, guys.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, so once again, thank you so much for watching. If you watched us on YouTube, subscribe, ring that notification bell, smash that like button, comment down below. If not, watch. If you're listening to us on Spotify and iTunes, or even Amazon, I think I forgot to mention that.
We're on Amazon.
There you are. Links are in the bio, as well as social media: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and
TikTok.
Yeah, you can watch us there. Comment, share. If you, we like creating conversations with our posts, because again, it helps other people who are in current situations that, you know, maybe you have something that can help other people who are either listening, watching, or reading.
Exactly.
So if you can, great. If not, DM us and we can always repurpose those on posts, so then we can just help whoever it can that message
benefit.
can, exactly. We also have a
website, thecoffeebreakup.com.
get to know us, get
Check
to know
us
more of our
out, shop
stuff,
some merchandise.
shop, whatever, all that good stuff. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you so much,
Patty,
guys.
thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming on.
guys.
Thank you for having
Love
us.
y'all.
Ciao, guys.
Later, guys.